Welcome. This is David Bowles, Human Meme. Today's topic, on getting Twitter verified. After years of trying, I was finally able, or more specifically, my David Bowles account, at DAVIDBOLES account, was finally able to get verified on Twitter. And I have no idea why. And yes, that blue tick with the white check mark is everything and nothing in the social media world. I have written a lot about the social media verification process in my blog, bowlesblogs.com. Facebook verified me a long time ago, and being verified on that system means you are who you say you are, and that makes a big difference when you're doing business online and dealing with people in general, online and offline. Being verified also means you are not a troll. You are a serious person. You have achieved some sort of notability or notoriety in your personal or professional life. So, how do you get verified on any social network? What are they looking for? What sorts of things need to be known about you to get them to give you the blue check? Well, I've been writing and performing and being alive, doing all the right stuff for like 40 years. I have always had lots of websites and books and articles to my credit, newspaper articles written about me, and much of that work was published by third-party, mainstream, verifiable companies. All of me and my life was not good enough for Facebook or Twitter to verify me. I tried, I applied, I asked, denied. It was an uncomfortable and awe-shaking experience to be told no, for really no reason at all, especially since I was used to people saying yes to me and asking me to do things for them. So get rid of the ego and submit to the process. Commit to dealing with a lot of no and keep trying and adding more content and depth to your life to add to the who and the what you are. More on that in a moment. Both Facebook and Twitter appear to value modernity, the now. If you're young and a celebrity in music or film or TV on your way up, you are more likely to get verified than would, say, an old guy like me with an established career that may be solid and responsive, but no longer actively viral in their sense of the word. People with heat and popularity and people who are on the move and getting noticed are also good candidates for verification. But that doesn't really help important but non-newsmakers get verified. If you are being impersonated by someone, you might be able to get verified, but that doesn't usually happen unless you are super famous and the social media supergiants want to keep you happy and active on their system. So, you aren't young, you aren't pretty, you aren't famous, you don't smell very good, nobody is impersonating you, and you don't work for a media company. Loser. You're just a regular person like me, getting along, working, teaching with a long history of publication and social service and involvement in the world before the mega media overlords took over the office cooler talk. It took me about 4 years of asking Facebook before I was finally verified. It took me over 6 years of asking Twitter to verify me, and they only verified me on their own time, as is their wont. After previously turning down my latest direct request for verification, they ended up verifying me on their own later. So how did I do it? What were my secrets to getting verified by Facebook and Twitter? I really have no idea, because I am the same person I've always been, but I did come up with a strategy to help make me appear, perhaps to be a little more socially relevant over a longer generation of time. And here are some of those strategies for you to consider. Perseverance is important. Do not give up. Do not take no for a final answer. Yes is hard. No is very easy. There are few people in life or a company who have the power to approve, the power to say yes to you. And that is the first thing you need to find out from someone if you can. Do you have the power to say yes to this or not? And if the answer is not, then you are not talking to the right person. My old good friend John Faulkner told me 25 years ago that you cannot get a yes unless you ask. And that advice has been bright and right and hot in my mind since the day he shared that truth with me. If you don't ask, it's always a no. So, always ask for a yes. And if you don't get a yes, keep asking for one. Because if you don't, you won't. Now, that's a general tip on life because finding a real live yes person at Facebook or Twitter to deal with your verification issue is going to be difficult. And you're going to be kind of dealing with them anonymously on the internet. And their job is pretty much to defend. Their job is to maintain the firewall. Their job is to tell you no. Build your brand. You are your brand. Build you. I just wrote about this in bowlesblogs.com. Search for Own the Generic on my blog, and you'll get more details. But generally what I did over the last 5 years or so was to come up with a new plan to rebrand who I was online to become just plain old David Bowles. And not the super generic Bowles, and not the overly nerdy specific David W. Bowles. And I did that across all my social networks in username and visible name. And on March 5th, 2016, I won the internet. And I'll let you read the blog article for the details on that victory. You must have a well-designed, interesting website. Your online life should be deep and wide and filled with all kinds of content. Audio, video. Who are you? What have you done? Add lots of images and text and PDF files. All that is mandatory. Make Google love you in their results because of your content, and Facebook and Twitter may follow and say, this person is important. make a website that loads in a wink. That means fast. Get a domain name. Make your contact information publicly visible so you have nothing to hide. You are trying to prove you are real and important and available and that you deserve attention. As well, make sure you link Facebook, Twitter, all that from your website. Blogs. I've been writing and publishing a magazine or some sort of blog online for at least 2 decades. I publish a lot of content and even more new authors. I link all my social media accounts from the blog because it's more content to share, really. The power of your readers and followers clicking on those Twitter and Facebook links matter because they are quantified and verified and help set your notability and importance with the social media giants. Podcast. Podcasting is hot right now, even though it's been around forever. I just started a new podcast, this Human Meme podcast, a month or so ago. And while I have over 50 high-quality episodes so far for you now and forever, and with many more to come online, this podcast is really the only thing I've added to my online arsenal since getting rejected for verification by Twitter and then getting verified by Twitter out of the blue. Could this Human Meme podcast be the reason for my Twitter verification? Probably not. Because Twitter is a black hole about these things, and nothing can be known unless they decide to tell you, and they're not telling you. Publish every day. Publish all the time, especially on the networks that are important to you and that you covet. I regularly publish new content every day on my blog and website, but I have religiously published on Twitter and Facebook and Google Plus and LinkedIn 10 times a day for many years. Yes, I know 10 daily updates, that's a lot. And yes, I take a lot of time searching for right images and appropriate articles and new ideas that are really worth sharing. And I write everything myself. And when people accuse me of putting quotes that I'm not attributing, I simply say, do a Google search on what you think I'm not attributing, and that Google search will come right back to me. Now, I don't share photos of my lunch or other nefarious ordinaries that nobody else really cares about. And maybe that effort to try to bring something new to the world 10 times a day for years finally added up into mattering and verification. Advertise. I have always advertised on Facebook and Twitter. Now, I don't spend a lot of money, but I do spend with predictability and regularity. You also get to access new parts of a social media service when you advertise. And I like snaking my thoughts and my content into every available river and rivulet. You do not have to spend any money to get verified. But doing business with Twitter and Facebook is good for you as a person online and also for their bottom line. So remember that. Paying. Now, this is just an idea, but I've always thought it would be so smart to offer paid verification for Twitter and Facebook. Maybe $100 per account. Let people buy their way into the verified system so they can be verified for their business or professional life, and their paid for verification checkmark would be another color, say red instead of blue, so end users would know the difference. And you'd preserve the ego of the old guard with the original blue check while still letting new blood into the system. More advice. Be real. Don't curse. Use your real phone number and real name as often as possible. If you are required to provide documentation for verification, like a photo ID, do it. That's why you want to be verified. Be responsive and put positive energy into the world. Make them deny you against their better angels. If you try all of this and you are denied again and again, just keep asking for verification at appropriate times. I always waited a year between verification asks, but Twitter now says you can apply every month for verification. I would only reapply before my standard year of waiting if I had made some substantial news that would create a better light for my candidacy now than a month ago. Now, I really have no idea how or why I was verified by Twitter and Facebook. I always felt and knew I was verifiable, but it took them years to agree with me. The things I've mentioned here are only suggestions and guesses for what might have worked for me. Your own verification path will and must vary from mine. Hey, remember to find me on Twitter @DavidBowles. On Facebook, my username is Bowles, so facebook.com/BOLES, and you're there on my verified page. My main website is bowles.com. My blog, as you know, is bowlesblogs.com. I also have tons of free videos and content online at bowlesbooks.com and also at hardcoreasl.com. Lots of stuff to read, enjoy, and peel apart. Plus, I'm active every day on LinkedIn and Google+. Look for me, find me, connect. I say yes. And if you happen to enjoy this Human Meme podcast, I am asking you for a yes. A yes to give this podcast a 5-star rating on iTunes and to also leave a really great review. Getting 5 stars and incredible reviews on iTunes is really vital to the success and the propagation of this podcast. Thank you for listening. Be a human meme.